Didn't change at all. A component. So we have so much to do. Everybody saying, why do you turn off the video? What's he doing? Turn off the microphone. We have so much to do, and we have 8 working days. If not, we'll have to cancel Tisha B'Av for everybody saying. It looks like there's no prayer. You hear me over here? No, it's good now? A little bit better? A little more, much more, I think, no? You guys tell me, no, it's good. How's that? Oh, okay, now it's very good. So we have 8 working days, and I had so many thoughts and so many different shilas over Shabbos, and we have to start Atmana. Right? I don't know, but we didn't get to the Stira and Sif Gimel and Sif Hey yet, and I don't even have a Mishnah Berurah on the table, so I have no choice but to tell you the different thoughts and different horrors that I had. First of all, I had a riddle, totally unrelated, but that's my prerogative. I have a riddle. We know that if you have a blech, so that you can put on food which isn't cooked. That's it. You know that for the rest of your life. You have a blech that you can put on food that's not even cooked, or if it's partially cooked, or an 8th cooked, or a 10th cooked, or a 7th cooked, or a 6th cooked, whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be Michael ben Drusai before Shabbos, obviously. That's the halacha. That's the halacha. Obviously, you can't do chazara until it's covered, or whatever, but until it's fully cooked. But if you have a blech or a hot plate, the halacha is you can put food which is under Michael ben Drusai. Rav Henkin said that it's not kedai to do this. Rav Henkin, I used to say over from Rav Henkin. Now I see it's in the Rav Henkin had tshuva. It's called the something Igra. Slipped my mind. Igra. Who was it? Igra something. Akapanim. He writes over there. It's usher. I never realized he writes it's usher. I thought it was only like a preference. He writes it's mamish usher because he says that you're going to inevitably move around food on the fire, and the food should be fully cooked before fire. He says if you have the food on a blech, you're not going to know what's going on inside your pot, and inevitably you'll move it closer to the fire. And so he says you should always have food fully cooked before Shabbos. Okay, that's a gzeira that he made up, but akapanim, it's the rayon is definitely there. So I have a riddle. When do you have a case that the halacha is? It's a riddle. It's a good riddle. When do you have a case that even with a blech, the food still has to, sorry, excuse me. Even with a blech, the food still has to be Michael ben Drusai before Shabbos. Yeah, right? Even with a blech, even with the blech, the food still has to be Michael ben Drusai before Shabbos. When do you have a case? Okay, so you know right away, you know? Why? No, we don't paskin like that. We paskin not like that. And don't say Kiveger that brings Rabbi Yoed because we don't paskin like that. Kiveger as it's sad that even Michael ben we paskin not like that. That's why I started. I started that with a blech. It's always mutter, fully cooked, not fully cooked, a 10th cooked, a 20th cooked, a raw, not raw. Everything is mutter once you have a blech, except for a Henkin's gzeira, which I said is gzeira that is not meikar, the halacha. It's Rav Henkin made the gzeira, but it's the other paiskim did makabel. It's the right thing to do. But when is there a halacha that if you have the food that's that's on a blech, you still need it to be Michael ben Drusai? Whoever gets it, I'll give him alcohol, like a big swig, not stam. Like if you get it wrong, you have to pay. I'll give the whole bottle. Chazar Erev Shabbos, how's that help? So anyways, that's it. I'm talking. Say that the Chazar Erev Shabbos is even if it's fully cooked. I mean, well, no. Shall I let you think about it? I won't answer. Shall I let you think about it? I'll give you one hint. One hint is I gave 56 shiurim and bishul, and I never mentioned it one time in these shiurim. Other shiurim, I've mentioned it. Maybe I did mention it. Did I mention it? I don't think so. No? I said, this is the good stuff, not the cheap stuff. 70%. No? Should I say? Should I say? Yeah. The answer is that on Yom Tif, which is Chal on Erev Shabbos, when Yom Tif is Chal on Erev Shabbos, so there's a din that you're allowed to cook from Friday to Shabbos based on an Erev Tafshilin. But there's shittas that hold that even though you're cooking based on the Erev Tafshilin, but the halacha is you have to be able to say hoyel. You have to be able to say hoyel that I could theoretically eat it on Friday. So since theoretically I could eat it on Friday, therefore I'm allowed to cook on Friday for Shabbos. But Al Kapanim, since the Maisa, nice, no, it's a good riddle. No, I can get money for that. But Al Kapanim, okay, gotta be true to my word. So since on Friday since on Friday, if you're cooking on Friday, it has to be that it's something that you could theoretically eat on Friday. So Mishabura and Siman Tav Kuf Chav Zayin over there brings down that therefore it should be cooked at least to Michael Ben Drisai. Lechatchila, Mishabura says that's why you should try to cook it the whole way. Lechatchila, but certainly at least it has to be cooked Michael Ben Drisai, even though you have a blech. So I didn't help your blech. Good. It has nothing to do with Ilchus Shiur. Sorry? Anyways, we need a brach. But that wasn't the question. Anyways, yeah. That's number one. A different thought is that I have a raya. These are my thoughts. What do you want? I have a raya brura. I have a raya brura to a shaila we spoke about last week. I mentioned last week, and the was talking about, let's say you want to take chicken soup out of the fridge, and you want to put the chicken soup, let's say, without a blech. It's cold chicken soup. And you want to put, so that's the shaila of lach shenitztanen. I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. When you have a lach shenitztanen, so what's the din? Does lach shenitztanen require a blech? There's a shaila. You want to take a lach shenitztanen and put it in the oven or something like that. So we spoke about. So I said over. I think I said that the Chazon Ish was mekel. I think I said the Prima Godim was maybe mistapi. I don't remember what I said. But we said la'alacha we're mekel. I said la'alacha we're mekel, and then I said it's just interesting because the Mishabura, the Stima Mishabura, he doesn't mention it, and you would have thought that maybe it's telling the shaila of yesh b'shal chabishal b'davar. Everyone understand what I'm talking about? You take a chicken soup out of the fridge, which is fully cooked, but could you put it on without a blech? I realized afterward from the shiur that we said on Thursday, there's a raya brura 100% that it's mutter mitzat shehiyah. It's mutter 100%. Rachar is a raya brura. No, what's the answer? What's the raya brura? Also a good chap. I'll give you a hint. One of the guys on TV just chatted it, but I don't know if everybody sees these chats. Says Rabbi Sher, he says, we spoke on Thursday that there's a halacha called chazara on Erev Shabbos. What's the halacha of chazara of Erev Shabbos? The halacha, which you all probably did this week. The halacha of chazara of Shabbos means that if you put something onto the fire close enough to shkia, that theoretically it wouldn't be able to go from cold to hot. That's too close. And the only way we allow you to do that is if there's garf and cotton. We say, and if you don't have garf and cotton, we're not going to let you put it on that close. Why not? Because if we let you put it on that close on Erev Shabbos, you're going to come to do chazar on Shabbos itself. That halacha we explained is bain if the food is hot now, bain if the food, if the food is Michael Ben Drisai, we said it's not a problem because a person will never come to do it on Shabbos. Okay, but the halacha is bain if the food is hot, bain if the food is cold. We explained that you're not allowed to put the food on if it doesn't have the theoretical possibility to be able to go from cold to hot. And we said that maybe you could turn on the oven to the highest because theoretically then it would be able to get from cold to hot in that amount of time. The Maisa, it means that it's borrowed that the only issue that the poskim found was chazara on Erev Shabbos, which the minig is lahakal, which is a makom to be make one. And the halacha of chazara Erev Shabbos is talking bain if the food is hot, bain if the food is cold. So that means, can I take cold chicken soup and put it onto the fire on Erev Shabbos 5 minutes before Shkia? The answer is that if it would be theoretically able to get there to hot, then it's mutter. Bain if it's cold, bain if it's hot. If not, it's also mitat chazar Erev Shabbos. But it's mashma that the only issue at hand is chazar Erev Shabbos. But it's mashma that shehiyah is not an issue. It's mashma that there's no issue of shehiyah, and the only possible issue was chazar Erev Shabbos. It's shtickle cheshbon. Whoever chaps it good, whoever doesn't, it's also okay. But that's the cheshbon. Is that what you meant, Rabbi Sher? It's a raya muchrachas. Raya muchrachas. Again, it's a shtickle cheshbon. What? It's a raya to the Chazon Ish, right? Because you see that the only issue that the poskim had was chazar and Erev Shabbos. What do you mean? There's another issue. There's an issue if the chicken soup would be cold, so then you have an issue that it's not cooked. So you see, it's not true. The teretz is pashut because since tak it's something that's going to get there and people aren't sehitzt, so we consider it to be like it's already kivyachal, like I guess a cooked food or Michael Ben Drisai food, etc. It's a shtickle cheshbon. I was afraid to start with it. Maybe I shouldn't have, but that's number two. Number three is that somebody called me on Erev Shabbos. And he had a shaila. He didn't call me like 10 seconds before Shabbos. But he called me, told me he was in a place, and Taka, all he had with him was a crock pot. He's in bidud. Okay? He's in bidud, and, there's not much he could do about it. So he was a bacher that was biduded. Right? And he went to Dira on Erev Shabbos. And the Maisa he has over there, he was going to make just put some potatoes and some meat into the crock pot. And he asked me, what do I do? Just didn't know anything, So all he had was a crock pot. So I started telling him how to put silver foil. I started telling him with this and that. So he said to me, no, it's like there's no, it's like someone's machsan or whatever is doing him a favor. And all that he brought with him was a crock pot because he knew that would take care of him for Shabbos. That somebody gave him food for Friday night, and for Shabbos lunch, he's going to just put up a challenge. Is there any? So what's the answer? It's like maybe should have called a couple of hours ago. Called about 48 minutes before Shkia. No, what do you tell him to do? Stop. What do you tell him to do? He doesn't have silver foil and he's not allowed to leave or he'll get arrested. And the Rav who tells him to leave will also get arrested. So what do you do? No? What? He didn't do anything yet. He called 48 minutes before Shabbos. He had raw meat and raw potatoes. What? What do you tell him? Just tachas. What do I tell him? What? What do we catch? What do you want him to do? You want to give him kiddush chaisa. So let's just tell him, tachas, how do you get kiddush chaisa? What? 5 minutes before Shkia, you should turn it on. And then we know that it'll get to, so first of all, if you put it on 5 minutes before Shkia, now first of all, we have Chazar Shabbos issue. Okay, but, what? So we don't have any Chazar Shabbos issues, right? Okay, but 5 minutes before Shkia, what are we going to get to? We'll get to nothing, right? Okay, so he told me, but 5 minutes before Shkia, he never does things like that. 5 minutes before Shkia. He only wakes up 48 minutes before Shkia to find out how to cook things. He accepts Shabbos 20 minutes before. He doesn't do that. What? Didn't sound like the meat was frozen, but that doesn't make so much a difference. To get from frozen to, it does add time a little bit. Sure, it does add time. What? Yeah, it does add time. He didn't say that. It didn't sound like that. It sounded like he had raw meat and raw potatoes and he wants to know what to do. No? Sorry? The guy didn't even have a havamina of all this. He just wanted to know, I don't know what he wanted because, just put a black. What? No, I guess, I don't know. It was like weird. Like he didn't have silver foil, didn't have anything. What do I do? Is there any eights you can give him for 20 minutes before Shabbos? I don't know. Is anybody, you think 20 minutes before Shkia, it's going to attack the fee the Chazanish, it'll get to Yatzaletis, but okay. But the fee us that we said it doesn't have to get to Yatzaletis, but you think it's a problem? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. I think 20 minutes before Shkia, you think it's going to get to that the meat is going to go in a crock pot if you put it on low and it's going to get soft already? Meaning it's going to be affected? I totally don't think so. I just told you what I told him. I told him 20 minutes before it's fine. I told him 20 minutes before it's fine. But I added one nekuda, which is something to think about in general. Right? I didn't tell him this. I'm telling this to myself. I'm telling this to us. Right? There's a Tiferes Shmuel that all the Achayim bring down and argue on it. They say the Mishabur argues on it. But the Tiferes Shmuel says that it's not Tali in Shkia, it's Tali in Kabbalah Shabbos. Kiddush Chaisa is not Tali in Shkia, it's Tali in Kabbalah Shabbos, which makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense that it should be Tali in Kabbalah Shabbos, right? Because from that point, he's Mesiach Das. He puts, he puts in the plug, he's Makabel Shabbos, and that's it, right? So then it makes a lot of sense that at that point now he's Mesiach Das, because obviously once he's Makabel Shabbos, he's not going to do anything already, right? So that was the one thing I added to him. I told him daven mincha first. It's like a shtickle, like an added chumrah, I thought to myself, right? I told him daven mincha, and then at 20 minutes before, plug it in, and then be Makabel Shabbos. Right? Be Makabel Shabbos. He had no idea what I was talking about. I was wondering, you have to explain. I told him, because once you're Makabel Shabbos, you're for sure not going to touch the fire. I explained it to him. That's Mesiach. I don't explain to him Kiddush, but that's what I did. That plus the Mishnah Brura that holds its Tali and Shkia, and it probably anyways going to get there. I thought it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to be Meisif to the Oilam. I was thinking afterward, should I have told him to find a piece of tape and put it onto the knob? And then what would we have? We would have maybe Tach Petit. Yeah, but I don't hold that. I don't hold that. The Marshak says even a lock on the, that it's not going to go over here. Right? No, I would rather be Saimech on the Tiferes Shmuel and this shtickle of Kabbalah Shabbos than to be Saimech on this made up, thing that the Marshak says first not like that, and that none of the Paiskim chapped. I don't like it so much. So that's the Chayr. The Marshak was in basement. We spoke about this Marshak. So those were a few of my thoughts. That's now, okay. Those are a few of my thoughts. Okay. Now like this. Now, the Maisa, Stamazai, we're out of Sfardim. No, Rabbi, you still here? No, we're not out of Stam. The Sfardim have a lot of chumras and all these Bishul Zachin and everything, right? So first of all, the Sephardim have one big kula, and all of everything that you learned in Sif Beis, the Sephardim have one thing to remember, right? When a Sephardi comes to take cholent on Friday night, so they have to remember, obviously, it has to be fully cooked, obviously. And also it has to be that they're putting it back to a blech and things like that, obviously, right? But they don't need das and the biyadas. And all they need is one thing, not karka. That's all they need. They just need to know one thing, that they didn't put on the karka. It's an important thing that the Sephardi needs to remember. They don't need to have das lachzor and all this stuff. They just need to make sure they don't put it on the karka. That's it. So now, if you take on that a countertop is probably meat of a safsel, which I'm pretty annoyed that it is. So that's it. A good Sephardi just takes it, puts it on the countertop, and that's it. That's all they need to know. And then they can put it back. And even if they change their mind, it comes out. Unless they change their mind and they put it on the table or something, because then that mamish will be karka. But that's dumb. It just comes out. I didn't speak out for the Sephardim, and I try to be as racial friendly, especially these days, as I can, because I don't want to get into trouble with anybody and whatever. And the Orlet Tzion in Beis Yud Zayin Vav says just exactly what I just told you. That's what every good Sephardi mama needs to know. That's all she needs to know. Okay? Sorry? Yeah, no, I'm saying it can't be cold because you have bishul problems. The Sephardim anyways are very machmer. And then what? That's the fight. That's the fight, how to learn, Rasachas and whatever. But usually it's so not negay. It's usually not negay in that case. The Ashkenazim have all the chumras, das and yadoy and everything, and all of our chumras, and that's everything we spoke about. That's that, right? That's number 2. Should I tell you all my thoughts or no? I'll tell you all my thoughts or no? You want to hear my thoughts or no? I had another thought. I thought, Rabbi say, this thing with it, I don't know why it hit me, but it hit me like a lightning bolt. This thing that we talked about the beginning of last week about the fire going off and taking the challenge and putting it onto somebody else's fire. Right? So my son's putting on tefillin and it's Hashem next week. So we were learning Hilchos tefillin. And I realized that it's such a pelidik sushtel that it's almost a chamoyer to say I'm about to say. Maybe I shouldn't say it. But it's mamash a pelidik sushtel. Basically, think about what the tushtel they were saying was that we learned in the halacha and Hilchos tefillin that if you take your tefillin, they get moved out of shape for a second, they get moved for a minute. So then the halacha is that technically you have to make a new bracha. That's halacha. You have to make a new bracha. If your talus falls off, you have to make a new bracha. Okay, that's basically the halacha. Okay, if you have das to put it back on, things like that, right? If you have das that you take it off and you put it back on, so then that's considered okay. So when it came to the cholent, we had the whole discussion. The fire went off, and now I want to take that cholent and go and put it onto a different fire, and we're discussing das, not das. Okay, first of all, when you learn tefillin and you learn talus, it sounds like you certainly need positive das. That's first of all. Okay, that's bichlal. It sounds like you need positive das to be putting it back on the fire. Okay, and okay, so we spoke. Maybe this is called the Chev Das. That was the shot. But then I realized that the whole thing is such a pella. If I say the talus is the same exact talus, and the tefillin is the exact same tefillin that you're putting back on. And you're just moving them back to place. And even there's a big shaila. It could be you have to have positive das, and it's not enough. Even there's a shaila. Here, you're taking it and putting it onto a totally different fire. Who says b'chlal that there's a tushtel? You're taking bitchlam if it's maybe this fire and this fire went off and it's going to go back on again, right? But generally the case is that you forgot to plug it in or the electricity went off. You want to take it off. You want to put it onto a totally different fire. Right? Who says that? It's like a whole new mice over here. Just how do you know b'chalal to shtel it to the case of talesim and tefillin? The whole idea of daita lachzor is that he has, this talus, he's going to put back on this talus. And that we discussed, is it called das? Is it not called das? Here, this pot, he's putting it onto a whole different matziv. It's a big chiddush to me to tell me that the pot that he's putting onto a totally different fire. It's a wonderful chiddush. Just realize how big a chiddush what you heard last week was. Right? So you hear my hergish that it's a meritic chiddush. I'm saying the chumrah. It's a big pellet to me to be makel and to say, okay, we spoke out. You have the ran or whatever, right? We spoke out a lot at first. I'm just saying, but just realize it's an unbelievable chiddush that when this fire goes off, and to say he has daita lachzor to go to a whole different fire that's not even in the ballpark. It's not even in the ballpark. Right? It's just like an unbelievable chiddush to me. It's an unbelievable chiddush. You agree with my ergish that it's a big chiddush? No. Who agrees with me? That's a big chiddush. You don't have to agree with me. I'm saying, look, Rav Shlomo Zalman and all the other gedolim, they discussed the shaila. They didn't agree with me. Maisa, I looked in Mishabura. I was learning with my son. I looked in Mishabura, and over there, there's the deer shoe. And he tells you, go and look over there. He sends you to us. We're other like Daita Lachzer Sugis and whatever, right? I don't know if it's in the new Dirshus. I have the old Dirshus, whatever. So, anyways, so he sends you there. In the new Dirshu, he sends you to Chadushay Basra. That was by Rav Scheinberg, I don't know which part was him and which was Rav Voltusky, but one of them says that there's such a big chiddush here that the Achrayim say. Listen to the chiddush. Chiddush, he said, they talk about Talesim and Tzitzis and everything, and they say, and even that is not so much. But how could you compare? There, he's putting on the same exact talis. He's putting on the same exact fill, and here he's taking this pot and putting it onto a totally different fire. Who says b'chlal that there's daita lachzer in such a case? They don't like the whole tzushta. They don't like the whole tzushta. It's done. Everything we spoke about last week, according to Scheinberg's batul mefutel, out the window. Out the window. Okay, you still have the ran, and you still have, it's just, it's big chiddush. It's very big chiddush. What? Regular case of chazara. So that doesn't bother me because there, at least l'kol ha'pachas, you can hear he's taking it off, and he has that. Rabbi Mendel, he wants to know like this, right? Manny, he says, what do you mean? If I take off the challah pot, in the middle, I planned on putting it back onto that fire. Let me fix the case a bit even stronger. I plan on taking it off, but putting it back this fire. And while it's in my hand and I plan on putting it back onto the fire, this fire goes off. I'll make it more extreme. And now I have to go and put it on a neighbor's fire, right? So is that allowed? That's a good child. You can't do that. Tali Tanya b'delay Tanya. That's a good child. That's a good child. But there, at least, I'd probably be makel because it's Oida b'yadai and whatever, and Rans and this and that. It's Oida b'yadai, and and that's a level of a daita lachzer. It's a daita lachzer to a fire, this, that, whatever. But here, it's like such an unbelievable, awesome chiddush to say, Bishlama, I can talk about this daita lachzer that I placed the das into the challah pot when I placed it there in that fire. Could you tell me that it's a daita that he placed there to be on any fire in the world? That's unbelievable chiddush. It's like awesome chiddush. It's mamish awesome. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm not coming to argue on Rosh Hashanah and all these gedolim. I'm just trying to say that last week when you heard these chidushim when it sounded so pasha, now you realize that it's an awesome chiddush. They said you could take your das and place it there, and it's kiviyachol bleibt das mit daita lachzer wherever it is. It's unbelievable chiddush, but now it's like it's awesome. It's daita lachzer I could hear to remain on this fire. I could hear he constantly has das that should be on this fire, but mechates it should be das that it's going to be chayzer to some other fire. It's just an awesome chiddush. Okay, but I'm wrong because they say not like me. That's number 3. Number four is this pina min mecham lemecham. Now, Maisa, we spoke about pina mecham lemecham. I'll just say the kitzur over here in the Gemara, because if you look in Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Mayo, the Svardim don't even know about pina mecham lemecham because you guys are mekel on all these chilas. Because once the Gemara applied teku, Safek, the Gemara goes teku the kula, and that's it. It's only the Ramah that's causing trouble over here, says the Mogen Avraham. Mogen Avraham says all these fakis and tekus in the Gemara, we Ashkenazim are machmir on. That's why we were machmir on makel and mita and all these things because it's a suffix, right? So we try to be machmir. It's dafkav biyada and dafkav machshava and whatever. We try to be machmir on these things. Okay. So I gave kulas if you're holding it with your hand and whatever and on the countertop. So okay. Plus the ran. But the Gemara says, what if I do pina mimecham lemecham? What is pina mimecham lemecham? So we're dealing that the food is fully cooked. We're dealing that we have a blach. This is one of the tnaim of chazar. What's a shayla? Shayla is a machlekes. It's 2 days in the Rishonim. Some Rishonim, Taisus, they learn, I take it from chalin pot A, and I pour it from chalin pot A into chalin pot B, and then I take B and I put it back onto the fire. Is that allowed? And put it back onto the covered fire. Is that permitted or is that illegal? What's the tzad that it should be illegal? Why would such a thing be illegal? So the tzad that it should be a mechzi. Why is it a mechzi? Because think about it. Everybody's like, I was in this pot. It's like a shtickle like the shayla we spoke about that you're putting it in a plate. Maybe once it's in this pot looks like, it doesn't look like a new thing. It looks like this pot is going back. It looks like it's going back to the original matzah. It doesn't like you're restarting the whole cooking process. But Mashayk, if you take it and you put it into another pot, and this pot, she was never on the fire before, so the whole thing, something's fishy. It looks like you're cooking over here. That's the suffix of the Gemara. That's the suffix of the Gemara. Why would anybody do this? Is this case like Nagay at all? Anybody in the world would do this? Where's Nagay? What? When what? Oh, that's very good. One case is that these tea is bubbling on the fire. The soup is getting too high. So you want to go put it into a bigger pot or pum fakir. Right? Sometimes the pshat is that you say, look, I got this massive pot, it's taking up the whole entire blech. Right? What's the point in doing that? So, so you take it and you pour it into a smaller pot. These types of things happen. It's not crazy. I'm saying it's not upgefrekt that such a thing would happen on Shabbos. It could happen, right? Yom sometimes you could have these types of cheshbonis that people make, whatever. So now he has this the pot and he puts it back into the. So what do you say? What do you say? Mutter. So the Gemara says suffik according to some Rishonim. So therefore suffik in that case is l'chumra because maybe it's mechzik and mevashel. That's how some Rishonim learn. The Ran brings another pshat. The Ran says no, that case wouldn't bother us. That wouldn't be mechzik and mevashel. Where's the mechzik and mevashel? Mechzik and mevashel is when you went from pot A was on the fire. You poured it into B, and then you pour it back from B back into A. Back to A. That's already mechzik and mevashel. Not the first case. A to B, right? But A to B back to A, that's already mechzik. Why is that worse? Why is A to B back to A worse? I guess it looks like he changed his mind. It looks like he went from A to B, stop, karka, plate. That's probably the biggest raya that a plate is mistama considered karka. Remember we spoke about that shaila. And once you get to a plate, that's considered karka. But now I went from A to plate to B, and then I go back to A. So what does it look like? It looks like you're taking it ice karka. So the Ran says that's the case of penal meva. That's the case of the suffix. But the first case, according to the Ran, is mutter. Right? That first case is mutter because it's just all going. So halacha l'maisa, what's the halacha? So Mishabura brings the Magen Avraham says suffix. Therefore, we have to be machmer. Comes again the Mishabura over here. He has a very nice cheshbon. I don't know. You see the tremendous koyach that the Mishabura has. Ramoshe Nigris Moshe based samach tes. He brings the Magen Avraham and Sif Chav. He says we're machmer on pina meich lemechav. Just like straight, we're machmer on pina meich lemechav. It doesn't make any cheshbonis. It sounds like the Magen Avraham is machmer in every case of pina meich lemechav, and you can't be pina meich lemechav. We'll see in the case in a moment where it's quite again. You can't be pina meich lemechav because it's machzik mevashel. The end. Says the Mishabura gvaldige cheshbon. You see how the Rebbeinu Shalom left over things for people, right? Because this is a cheshbon that people should have made. And the Mishabura is the first one that makes this cheshbon. The Kras doesn't make the cheshbon. Magen Avraham doesn't make the cheshbon. Nobody makes the cheshbon. Even Moshe's Mashvi didn't make the cheshbon, which is after the Mishabura. Mishabura is gvaldige chap. Mishabura says in the case of going from pot A to pot B, I could be mekel. If you go look at it in the Shartzi, and that's what he means to say. In Shartzi and Sivkat and Mem Zayin. He says, why? Because they have a sveka. Something number one is that pina meichem lemeichem. It's a suffix in the Gemara, so maybe it's mutter. Something number two is what's the case? Maybe the case is like the Ran said the case was. A to B back to A. But that far, I don't have to be machmer if I'm going from A to B and be machmer in that case also. Why? Because first of all, maybe the whole thing is mutter. Second of all, maybe this isn't the case that the Gemara was mistopic about. So therefore, to go from A to B is mutter. Where's the negeh? Just one moment. Where's the negeh? The fetus is very simple. If I take hot water from the urn, we spoke about this, right? You take hot water from the urn, and I want to take that water because the chalent is being nifter. Okay, you want to take that? Well, mamish meisim b'kol Friday. Rabbi Moyle can't do this, obviously, because once you put it into a klisheni, once you take the water and put it into a klisheni, so that's called bitchel. You're taking something that was a klisheni, and now you're going to pour it into the chalent pot, which is going to be on the H. You're taking klisheni, you're cooking it. So of course, Rabbi Moyle, he certainly can't do that. So what does he do? Like I spoke out, he has a bag that he keeps inside the chalent, and then he stabs it to death if he needs that water to come out, because that water is in the chalent itself. So therefore, that's what he does. Sorry? Wait, slowly. So let me just say the case first. So this is a very negeh case for the Ashkenazim al Kapanim. It's a very negeh case, right? The very negeh. That's a very good shot. You just asked on the Svardim. I just have asking. That's a very big shot that they ask on the Prima God. That's a kasha straight in the Prima God. They answer that kasha. How do they answer the kasha? No, it's not fair because it's no, it is fair. The Prima God answers that he takes the actual pot and he heats it up. He heats up the pot B. He's just asking that lefida. You understand what I answered? It's good. Why can't you eat it clean? You take a pot and put it on the fire. Take that pot and put it on the fire. Empty pot. Take an empty pot, put it on the fire, and then take from A, put into B. B is the empty pot, and then that pot. That it still has the inclination. I think the people going to speak. I don't think this is my turn. Wait, 1 second. I don't want to lose that, but I understand your question. So just give me 1 second. That's like this. Is Rabbi say? So again, Rabbi say, your Ashkenazi chamin is burning out, and it's about to be nifter, right? You're listening to me, Spire Brothers. You didn't notice. I noticed that you're together. I noticed everything. So there you are. Your child is about to be nifter. So what do? You go over to the urn. You take the water. You take from the cup. Now, what is that? That's A to B. And now you want to go from B to where? To C. To C. So Lefi Taisvis, this is dreadful. This is dreadful. Lefi the Ran, this is mutter. You're going from A to B and from B to C. What's the difference? You go to C to G to R. Who cares, right? What's the difference? And then as long as you have a ichves, I guess take it off of the fire because otherwise you can't do hagasa or something. Right? So you take it off the fire, pour it in, do hagasa, then put it back onto the covered fire. And then, so why is it mutter? Because of the mamanashach, the fake of the mishabura. Suffix number one is that maybe the shot in the case is A to B back to A. And suffix number two is that even if the case is taka A to B, but maybe it's mutter. So therefore it's mutter. I mentioned once the cheshbon of Rav Shmuel Orbach that the Orcha Shabbos brings down. Seems to be a nice cheshbon, right? He says that anyways it's mutter. Everybody will be mekel in this case, even the Magen Avram that seemingly, and the Moshe are seemingly machmir on the shilas in general, pinam and mechel. But in the case of the burning out shalint, everyone will be mekel. They say why? They say the whole idea of pinam mechel is to take it from A, and I put it, let's say, into B, and now I want to take B and I want to put it onto the fire. There's a mechsi to it. Why does it have like a mechsi to it? Because whoa, what's going on over here? That pot was never here. Oh, wait, what's going on? That pot was never on the fire. What's going on over here? It looks like I'm coming to cook. It looks like something's going on over here. Right? Mashenkin, if I take something and I just use it as a shliach to get to be ma'afshir the water to get from that pot which was on a fire into that pot which is on the fire. No. So who says that we look at the middle? Who says that we look at the middle? Because the whole thing we look at, that's just it's a big chiddush. It's a big chiddush. I don't know if I need it because anyways I have the Mishnah Berurah. If you want to add it, I don't understand it so well because once Chazal were goyzer on Pina Mechem, who has the right to say it went into this Mechem? I don't know. If you're being machmer on Taisus, I don't know if I'd be Mekel like that, but it doesn't matter because we're Mekel anyways once we have the cheshbon of the Mishnah Berurah. Adkan is the sugya of Pina Mechem Lemechem. Is that crystal clear? I said the Sfardim. You don't have to worry about Pina Mechel and Mechem. Rabbi Mal, you go home, you tell your wife, there's one thing you need to know, Geveret, and that's, was it on the karka? If it was on the karka, so then the end. I don't know if you guys have the run. I don't know. Don't worry. We're about to get to all the good Sephardi stuff with hot plates and plates. We're about to start. That's why I'm being nice. You never saw me this nice, right? That's right, Chacham Victor. I'm about to come after you in a moment. Good? Crystal clear? What? Is there a case where it's usher? If you go back, what'll be the case? Let's try and think, is there ever negea? He went from A to B. Manny. You got a case like this. He went from A, the chicken soup was bubbling up, and then he put it into B, and then he says, no, you know what, it's no good. It's no good. It's like he thought that it was bigger, and it's not really bigger. So he said, forget it, I'll put it back into A. So then it's a mitzvah to kill him, right? Because then if he's a Sephardi, no, even a Sephardi is going to be evil because he went into a cliche now. Shem Yerachem, Shem Shemayim. Yeah, it can't be back. So this is also for everybody, basically. Yeah. So if he did that, then it'll be over. Okay? That's Adkan. Now, basically, now we start the Shiur. Okay? Now we start. Finally, we've gotten to the big stira between Siman, Reishon, and Gimel, Sif. Is it crystal clear? Now you're finished with Aleph and Beis, and you know everything in the world on Sif Aleph and Sif Beis. There's nothing else. Okay? That's it. Maybe there's a few more hours, which we'll get to. Don't worry. But for now, we get to the big stira between Sif Gimel and Sif Hey. It's a wonderful stira, Rabbi say. A wonderful, wonderful stira. And the answers are so important. Does anybody remember? You guys will probably remember this, like a bit nostalgic. I see. Remember Silberman and Micha, you'll probably remember this. There's something called, maybe you'll remember this also, the Spire Brothers. There's something called the Kedera Blech. Anybody remember this? This is nostalgic. Anybody remember this? This was I forgot to tell you guys something. I don't know, but it's going to take time. I forgot to tell you something. All right, Mom, for one word, I forgot to tell you something. Somebody sent me a picture of something called this. Oh my God, I totally forgot. The sun oven. Sun oven. S-U-N oven. Does anybody here know what a sun oven is? But you know what a sun oven is? Yeah. You know what it is? It's basically, it looks like a box. He sent me a picture of this thing. He said, "I'm sure you'll be interested in this." I think he's right. All right. It's basically a box, It's basically a box, and it was made by like some hillbilly American who was very hungry one day, and they came home from the field after, coming back lots of tzayid and dust, and he didn't have an oven who everybody has a fancy oven and dust. So he went and he made a box, and then he took, I'm not joking, this is what he did the first time. He took those things that reflect the sun out of your car, that you put up by the window. What are those things called? The sun visors or whatever. And then he put one on this side of the box, and then he put one on this side of the box, and then one on this side of the box, and one on this side of the box. And he concentrated the light into the box, into the pot. Okay? It didn't work very well because Bitchel B'chama, there's a reason why it's mutter. Okay? But he worked on it, and he doesn't learn Torah, so he had a lot of time to do things, right? And Mela, what happened? He perfected it. And he made an unbelievable hamtzah. Basically, the sun goes in, he has like a glass cover, you close it, he over there is all now, there's a whole world of sun ovens out there. There's a ganze market of sun ovens out there, right? And basically, it can get to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And what they do is they leave their food to goyim. I don't know if you have to be a goy for this, but and Mamish swears to the cooks. He swears, right? And there's full websites about these guys, right? And he puts the chicken in a day, he just like cuts off his head. The goyim, they probably don't even kill it first, right? He just takes it, puts it into the box. You hear it bak, right? And then on the final bak, then it just sits there for the next 8 hours cooking in the sun. You come home and you have schnitzel. Yeah, this Rabbi Michael, it's unbelievable. This, right? This is what's going on out there. Unbelievable. And unbelievable. And he swears it works. The Maisa, they say it gets up to 350. To me, what is this thing? It sounds like all they're doing is directing the rays of the sun. And I was getting all conflicting reports, right? I was getting all these conflicting reports. It sounds like all they're doing is directing the ray of the sun onto the pot. If all they're doing, just a moment, is directing the ray of the sun, so then that we saw on day one, 1,000 years ago when we started Bishul, that's Taka Machlekes, if you remember, between, I think it was the Chut Shani. Chut Shani said that it's an emtsai and that's directing and that's aser. But, ganz fine, there are shittas that not like I think Shvis is Shabbos, others, I don't remember the name. It was a fight. If all you're doing, you have it? I don't believe you. What? Oh my God, Punk is Shabbos? Where is she? Where? Chazal tell us there are various ways of understanding why cooking in the sun is permitted. No, but does he have the sun oven? Yeah. Where? Cooking on, where is he talking about the sun oven? Here. No, it just talks about cooking in the sun, but he doesn't say about my sun oven. Got me all excited. No, it doesn't talk about the actual sun oven. So, well, this is it. This is what the guy sent me. It's unbelievable. Here. You got it? One sec. These guys are on TV. They could probably just press buttons and chop what's going on. Here, but pass it around. Everyone should take alcohol after because you never know which guy's from Romema. What? Got it? Yeah, now pass it around. And everybody take alcohol. I don't trust, especially, I don't know. I'm worried even about Ramat Eshkol a little bit. I don't know. The Zionists, they closed down Ramat Eshkol yet or not yet? Okay. Akapanim. You saw what it was. It's mamish exactly how I described it. It's got these metal pieces that come out like this. It directs the sun straight onto, you saw it? It's unbelievable. It directs the sun straight onto the pot. Unbelievable. And it cooks, and it says there 350 degrees Fahrenheit she gets to, right? And that's what I do. The only thing is that, I said the Chayr, it's totally in the fight, in the good old-fashioned fight of the Chut Shani and the Shvis Shabbos. But it's like a world war. I mean, nobody's strong enough to say that it's 100% usher and whatever. Chut Shani Taka said that anytime you're using a means, an intermediary over there, using something to direct the sun, that's already called a Toldas Chama, and it's an Issa D'Rabbanan. Okay? But there are other shittas that clearly are not like that. No, we'll all admit it's not pashut. Maybe Toldas Chama, the Gzeir of Toldas Chama was that you take something that it itself got heated up from the Chama and you're heating on that. But this is just directing. You could hear a ganz fine svara that this is Taka Toldas Chama to be mutter. The only thing is it bothered me very much. It just bothered me very much. Like, how in the world does this thing work? And this bothered me very much. And I tried so hard to find out that to me it was like pashut. That must be what's happening is that there's on the floor, you see in the picture, it's black, right? And he writes over there that it absorbs the heat. So I figured that what happens is the sun hits the floor, and the floor also gets boiling hot. And that's now getting more like a gather of a toldes chama, and that's heating up the pot. But then when you look in the other picture that they sent me, it says it can't be, it's also not true because the pot itself is not even on the floor. The pot is in the air. They have like some type of a grate, and it just like sits there, and that's the whole. It has a whole cheshbon. It's unbelievable, right? Food can be baked, boiled, or steamed at a temperature of 360 to 400 with the power of the yeah. I see Rabbi Mark Stein has one. Yeah, and it's mamish. It's unbelievable. This thing. No, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Rabbi said, but I tell you like this. It's something bothered me, so it's unbelievable. How could it be, right? How could it be? So now today, my findings found like this, right? It seems to be that how did he perfect it? He has a glass door that he closes on it. He closes, the sun directs the rays into the box. Like I'm saying, it also directs it onto that black part on the bottom, which absorbs. It says it's super absorbent and super insulent, okay? And then it directs it, and then the glass door closes it and is hermetically sealed. So what I think happens is like this, and this is what they say, but now I'm beginning to understand it a little bit. They write all weird words because, Ein Sham, you'll see why. But anyways, right? It's all such luxury what they write today in advertising, everything luxury, Rabbi say. It's unbelievable. The dumber you are, the more you'll buy. But it directs the rays into the box, and then the rays create heat, obviously, in the box, right? And then the heat can't leave because the glass, it's basically sun can go through, but the heat can't go because it's hermetically sealed. Right? I use the fancy word like they do, but it's closed, Rabbi say, right? So vermacht, ja? Ich meine, the Tier is vermacht, and the mice can always gain from them, right? And mamish, so bleibt this heiße box over there. It's unbelievable. So then, if that's the case, this is a very interesting shaila, which I just asked Rabbi before the shiur. What's the din of heat of the chama? If you cook in heat of an oven, let's say I turn on an oven and then I turn off the oven. I turn on the regular oven. I turn off the oven and it's 500 degrees Celsius there and there's no red coils anymore, okay? And I put food in there and I cooked. Are you chayv misa? For sure, right? That's about the told us score, right? There's no shot in the world. If you take the heat of the oven, that's a tunner, which is garf, right? If you take a tunner, which is garf, and you cook inside a tunner, which is garf, of course it's a mitzvah to kill you. So chayra, that's called told us or, and it's just something we never thought of before, but chayra, heat of the chama is l'chayra also told us chama. Right? Rabbi say, what is the heat of the blech that got heated up from the sun? When you take a piece of metal and heat it in the sun. So what is that? It's heat. It's heat, Batsim. It's inherently it's heat. And that's, of course, that's told us chama. So it's an interesting absa. L'chayra, this is the spitz dogma of told us chama. L'chayra. Well, chama itself is mutter. Chama itself is mutter. Oh, that you have to have a moon in chazal. I can't help you on that. I mean, you have to have a munah that it's not cham, it's not sun, it's not eish, even though we know it's 4 billion fires, explosions, and whatever. Come again? No, but say it, but that's already, you have to have a munah in chazal. Chazal said it first. Chama mutter, told us chama aser, emalsa. That you have to have a munah. Emalsa. What? No, the Dut Shemish works a little bit differently because the Dut Shemish, they're very differently. There, it sucks the plates. There's a black plate which sucks the heat of the sun, and then after it heats up, that plate now heats somebody else up. Here, it's a new amtza. It's like you're heating with the heat of the sun. You're heating up with the heat of the sun, not with the rays of the sun. I mean, he says over there first, the sun goes away. The sun was there 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and then it still cooks till 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It traps the heat in there, it says, for 3, 4 hours afterward. So you see, it's trapping heat even when the sun's not there. It got cloudy afterward, right? No. The magnifying glass, the shot is it directs the rays so the sun is directing straight. Here, afterward, it remains pashut. It's a blind tipper. Buzz? I'm asking, fine. But once you have the second one, the second part is told as chama for sure. That's not even a shayla. The first thing is maybe a shayla if it's told as chama or not. That is a fight. Al Kapanim, don't buy it. I could hear, a group of people Balkarim, that they're gonna say, hey, they learned like Ichleis, like one. They went to that one halacha shiur, or something. That Balkar, right? And then he's going on his camp. You can say, oh yeah, you're allowed to cook in the sun and whatever. And just forgot to learn and whatever. So that's no way. Russ? They raised themselves now. That's what you say. That's the same kasha when the rays went into the hot plate. And what is it? It's heat that goes into the hot plate. It's heat. But the sun is gone. It's a push it, like I'm saying. Let's say in that case, where the sun now goes, and now all you're left with is heat. There's nobody in the world that would say such a thing is not called Toldos Chama. Of course it's Toldos Chama. Yeah. It's probably not going to work, but yeah. But if you found a way to store the heat of the sun, yes. No, the Dut Shemesh is different. And Chanami, but there the pshat is because the plate itself, there is a different reason why it's also. There the actual plate gets boiling hot, and then what? No, that's what they. No, it's not true. The metal is not getting. The metal's outside the box. The metal's outside the box like this. The glass afterward it goes in and then it traps it and doesn't let it out. Now I spent a lot of time, a lot of literature trying to figure it out, right? But it's definitely not a shav d'oraisa. It's only a shav d'rabbanan. Okay, let's start. I shouldn't have done that, but my yetzer got me to do it. Okay, hamashkin babayker. Okay. Oh no, what happened to her? All right. We have to start. Hamashkin babayker. Okay, listen closer, everybody say. Hamashkin babayker v'rosh gedicha tavshila. He sees that his food is getting burned. So what are you supposed to do in the times of Chazal? He has a cholent. It's right by the coals, and he sees his food's getting burnt. So what are you going to do in the time of Chazal? Because he still needed to be on the fire. On the other hand, you can't keep it on the fire because it's going to get burnt. So what do you do? So what are you going to do? In the time of Chazal, what are you going to do? You're going to do gar fekatim. You're going to go and start shoveling the coals. Chas v'shalom. That's kiboy, right? Chas v'shalom. So what's he supposed to do in the times of Chazal? So kum tzikei in the Mordechai tells you, I tell you what to do. You take a pot, take a piece of metal, a pot, whatever, right? Or anything. It doesn't say metal, cheres, really, anything, right? Take it, put it now on top of the coals. Don't put it on the coals that you suffocate the coals, the pies can say, but just put it there and block the coals. What did I gain if I block the coals? So now I can take my food, put it on top of this pot or whatever it is, right? And now I'm not going to be mamish on the fire. But wait a minute. How are you allowed to do that? You're going to have to lift up the food. How are you allowed to take the food and then put it back to a fire? The answer is that you're allowed to take food and put it back to a fire, which is gar fekatim. Yeah, but this is not gar fekatim. This is just a fire that has a pot on it. Yeah, that's like gar fekatim. That says the Shulchan Aruch. He's afraid it's going to burn. Take a note. Now, that's all discussion over here about Kederi Shana. I don't want to go into it. It has to do with the fact that if it would be a new pot, it gets involved that you're doing what's called mitzare. If you're doing a makabed patish, if you take a pot and then you heat it up, so you're doing to the pot, you're making it a finished product, or whatever. Our pots don't have this, they're tempered metal and whatever, so don't worry about this aspect. This is not our sugya. If you see in the morning that your cholent is getting burnt, so what do? You take off the cholent. Wait a minute, but if I take off the cholent, I can't put it back because you can never go to an open flame. So Tarek says, yeah, but you're not going to be going to an open flame. So what do? You take a pot, an empty pot, and then you put on the food onto the empty pot, which is on the fire. Vizar, but don't put it on the karka. Don't put it because around they don't have this. So don't put it on the karka. Just hold it in your hand. And then the Ramah says, we were making like the Ran anyways. Okay, so you could even put it on the karka. Okay, Shah. No. So now, halacha l'maisa, what does this mean for us? It means that if you see your cholent is getting burnt, it was in the crock pot and you accidentally turned it on high, right? You accidentally turned it on high. So what do? So now, and you have a fire going on the stovetop, make it a normal case. You have a fire going on the stovetop. So you take a pot, okay? You turn it, doesn't say upside down. I made up upside down. The Gra says you don't even turn it upside down. It doesn't say you turn it upside down. The Gra says you take a pot and you go and put it onto the fire. And then you take this pot and put it into that pot. It's not going to be far away. Okay. Doesn't say anything about taking the pot. It doesn't say you have to turn the pot upside down and you have to have a space between that and the fire. Okay. So let's make this practical. You see your cholent is burning. You accidentally put it on high. It's a terrible thing. And now you have a fire over there. So what could you do? You take it off. You take a blech. You put it on your stovetop. Okay, there was a fire going, but you didn't have a blech on it. So you could take it and put it there. Or if the blech was there, it's also okay. How's that allowed? So Are you allowed to go and heat up a blech on Shabbos? We spoke about, that's not called avara. We said it's a chatzi malacha, that didn't bother us. But wait a minute, what about chazara? The answer is gewaldig. It's hot, it's mavushal kol tzarchai, everything's great, and it's a covered fire. So this is the Shulchan Aruch, which is l'chayra, not like two of the great gedolim that lived in the last door. One of them was the Chazon Ish, and one of them was Rav Avadja. No one's safe here, Rabbi. Okay? According to Rav Avadja says, you're allowed on Shabbos. There's no games. Rav Avadja said, I'm not going to hide this from you. I don't care. Chacham Victor, I'm not hiding anything over here. We don't hide anything over here. Chacham Avadja says, in Chavadas, I think it was in Mem Daled or Mem Hey. Did I write it down? In Mem Daled, it's a very famous one. In Mem Hey, in Chavadas Mem Hey, he says, you could take chicken or fully cooked item, meaning it has to be dry, otherwise it'll be liquid. You have other issues, but you could take a schnitzel and whatever, and you could take it on Shabbos out of the fridge and put it straight onto the blech. No problem. That's the biggest karka in the world. And the Shulchan Aruch says over here, mefurish, not like that. Yes, the Shulchan Aruch says mefurish, not like Rav Avadja. I has Rav Avadja, who everything Rav Avadja was the hachzer ateres liyashem. So I ain't sham Chavadas in the 45th tshuva. And if you understand what he says, you should come back and explain it to me. Because Kipshuta, it's against the Shulchan Aruch mefurishes. The Shulchan Aruch says mefurish. Rav Avadja is coming to answer this. Right? But the Shulchan Aruch is absolutely mefurish, not like Rav Avadja. Kipshuta. It says over here, mefurish, that the only time you're allowed to put something back onto a covered fire is if you have the t'nai chazar. So you cannot take something out of a fridge and put it onto a blech. The only thing that you could do is if it was already on a fire, so now you can take it and put it onto a covered blech. Now, Rav Avadja knows this Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi say. You learned this Shulchan Aruch probably 400 million times, right? I'm just saying, but you realize that his teretz is more dachak than the Pashup Shan Shulchan Aruch. And what I just said is that all of the Achrayim learned except for Rav Avadja. Now, the other extreme is this Shulchan Aruch is explicitly not like the Chazon Ish, right? The Chazon Ish said the other extreme. Chazon Ish said a blech doesn't work, even to do chazar. Punkt fakir punkt, right? He said even to do chazar it doesn't work. This Shulchan Aruch says mefurish, not like the first, not like the Chazon Ish, right? He says that the Shulchan Aruch says mefurish. If you have a piece of metal on fire and you had food that was on the fire, you could put it back onto a covered fire, mefurish, and that's considered like a garif katan. In the Chazon Ish, b'tzarchin. The Chazon Ish knows the Shulchan Aruch, and he had the Shulchan Aruch up on the table, and he's coming to explain it. Tzarchin, ayin sham, what they say. But I'm just saying, so the Pashup Shot in the Shulchan Aruch is the Makor for our blech, and that was the minig of all of Klal Yisrael, bein the Sfardim, bein the Ashkenazim, for all of the years, that they were matir to do chazara on a blech. Okay? That's not, we spoke about blech. I don't want to be married on this nikud again, but that's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. So what does it say? Sorry? So again, the Pashup Shot is that what's then the case of the Kisar of Rashi? That was something that was normal. Like the Shem Levi answered, yeah. And this is not normal. This is a weird thing that you're putting onto the fire. Basically, you're doing something to make it that the fire is not being used in its normal fashion. Okay, so now if I ask you a question, can I do chazara onto a fire, an open fire, chalila? Can I do chazara onto a fire that has covered with a pot or something like that? So the answer is yes, as long as you have the t'nai chazara, as long as you didn't put it on the ground, as long as I did the yada and whatever. So of them, Frek the Be'alacha, and the Pri Megadim, and the Night of Yehuda, and the Grace of Shaila, the Shulchan Aruch and Sif Hey says not like this. It says that if you have a cholent pot on a fire, and you want to now take Yena Schnitzel out of the fridge, and you want to put it onto a covered fire, what's the difference if it's covered with a pot that has food in it? What's the difference if it's covered with a pot that does not have food on it? So the Shulchan Aruch says, yeah, that's a difference. Shulchan Aruch and Sifei says that you could take a schnitzel, and this is what you heard here 1,000 times. You can take the challah out of the freezer. You got to worry about condensation. You got to probably put a piece of silver foil down because otherwise you're going to have blias or whatever. But you're allowed to take the schnitzel, you're allowed to take a challah, and you're allowed to put her onto the top of the cholent pot. Thus, state in the Shulchan Aruch and Sifei. Mutala says that big days chamin b'Shabbat tavshel shiditz b'Shabbat Shabbos kol tzarich like going panadish because ein derech b'shul bekach side by side. Frek the Night of Yehuda astira. In Sif Gimel it says that if I take a pot and I put it on a fire, I'm only allowed to put food back onto that pot if there were the t'nai chazara, but not straight from a fridge. But in Shulchan Aruch and Sifei, it says first that I could do it even straight from a fridge. That's the stira. Now, you all know already the answer to the stira. You all know. I just said the answer. The answer is one has food and one doesn't have food. But that's good for the shaila. What's the difference that one has food in it and one doesn't have food in it? Thus is mamish very important nafkamina how you say it. I must tell you, manamita sadavar, the Noid of Yehuda had a different answer to this, just to show you that the teretz that you all know is not so pashut. The Noid of Yehuda, he said a whole different teretz. The Noid of Yehuda said, I'll tell you the difference between Sif Gimel and Sif Hey. The difference is that really Bain Sif Gimel, Bain Sif Hey, you should choose. It should either be Asr or Mutter. Because the truth is, they're both not derech bishul. It's both not, it's a weird way of cooking. It's definitely a weird way of cooking, to cook not on a fire and to cook on top of a piece of metal, on top of a piece of pot. It's definitely a weird way of cooking. So then it should both be mutter, right? Or just say it's both asr, because there's a fire safe there and you're still going to come to be mechata. But it doesn't make a difference if there's food or not. So the Noid Yehuda said, so what's the chilik? So the Noid Yehuda said that there's a shita of the Ran. It's not the same Ran that we've been talking about the whole time. There's a shita of the Ran, that the Ran's shita is that if you have items that are baked, so then right by your side, the only way to bake an item is to put it in an oven where the heat is surrounding it from all sides. But if you take an oven which is baked and you want to go and put it on a fire, so that's a very weird, and that's a derech bishul, that's not a derech afiyah. So let's say I take a challah and I want to put it straight onto a blech. So the Noid of Yehuda says, the Ran held that that's mutter. We don't do that, right? But the Ran held you could take a challah straight from the oven and put it straight from the fridge, and put it straight onto a blech. Why? Because you can't bake, it's impossible to bake a challah on top of a fire. That's the only thing you can do on top of fire is you can cook things, but you can't bake things on top. It's impossible. So therefore, there's a svar to say that it so doesn't look like cooking, and it so just looks like heating up that maybe Chazal never answered it. So the Noid of Yehuda says, we don't hold like this Ran, but B'tzirif, if you put something between you and the fire, the Ran wanted to be meko abaisa if you put straight onto the fire. So if you do something and put something, so according to the Noid of Yehuda, Bain if there would be food in the pot, Bain if there would not be food in the pot, it would be permitted to take a baked item and put it on a blech. So according to the Ran, yeah, this Maisa, according to the Ran, technically, I could take the challah straight out, or the schnitzel straight out of the fridge or whatever, and put it onto the blech. Sorry? Dagam Mervav, I think the Be'er Lacha doesn't bring it. Dagam Mervav. So the Maisa Rabbi said, what's the answer to the stira? When do I need T'nai Chazara? The answer is that for sure, if you're dealing with a cooked item, then you need T'nai Chazara. And according to that, if you want to take a cooked item and you want to take it out of the fridge and put it on top of a cholent pot, no way, right? The only thing that you could do is you could take a schnitzel out of it, and according to this, it doesn't make a difference if there's food on it. You could take it and put straight schnitzel, straight like Rav Avaja. You could take a schnitzel and put it straight onto the blech. The Be'er Lacha says, I don't like that teretz. The reason I told you that teretz is, what happened? We're out of time? No, this never happened before. We didn't say the answer. Wait, did we have 5 minutes? Where's Danny? Danny, I have 5 minutes? It's a Sunday. Sunday, I can get 5 minutes, no? Danny? Where's Danny? Where is he? At the beach? They closed the beaches, I thought. Where is he? Okay, he's not talking, so that means I have 5 minutes, I suppose. All right? Okay. So let me just at least answer. Says, listen to this, Rabbi Isai. The Be'er Lacha says, I'll read you his lashon. He says, where's the Be'er Lacha? Which Dibra Maskell is this? Yizayah. So he says, l'chayr to stira. Umetzazi in the dagel mervava shenidchak b'zeh. He doesn't like the teretz of the dagel mervava because it's very shver. The dagel mervava is not using the obvious chilik that there's a difference if there's food or not food. Okay? The obvious chilik is there's a difference if there's food or not. That's the obvious mashmayis implication of Shulchan Aruch. And the Dagam Mervav is making a whole sirif that the Shulchan Aruch was makel. It's very shver. He was kasav Shavshem Mechaber was samach on the Ran that a panadich is darker lefois and therefore agabi kiri yesh lahakol who doichik gadol. Hamachaber doesn't hold of the Ran. Very big doichik. And Cain the Goyim doesn't hold like this. Achar kach matzazi in the Prima Gadim that he said the right answer. Now, by side, let me ask you a question. We all know the chilik. You have to make such a big deal. The difference is if there's food or not food, right? That's the answer, right? So why is the Be'er Lacha say, I found such a wonderful deretz in the Prima Gadim? And the answer is nifla. The Prima Gadim chat something which is so gewaldic. So you obviously realize the Pri Megadim is not just about to say the words when there's food or not food. He's about to explain what's the difference if then there's food inside the pot or there's not food. If there's food in the pot, you can take a schnitzel straight out of the fridge. You can take the challah straight out of the fridge. If there's not food on top and you have a piece of metal straight on the fire, so then you need the t'nayim of chazara. And then it's only, taking from a previous fire or something like that. I could also say that chilik, right? So obviously, he's going to explain the chilik. That's why the Mishnah Berurah gives a lot of praise. Listen, heed my words, Rabbi Isai. So the Bir Halacha says, he said it betuv tam. And you should know the Pri Megadim says like one sentence. The Mishnah Berurah adds a drop of ink over here to explain that sentence. He says, Sha'iri, when it's oimedis al gabe kederis chamin. It's talking when there's cholent inside the pot. There's something in the pot. So then leinechshav klal oimed al gabe kira. Then the schnitzel is not considered being placed onto the fire. It's being placed onto the food, something else. It's being placed onto something else. Why? Because now there's a pot there and there's a pot on the fire. So then it's not called I put the food onto the fire. If you put the food onto the fire, forbidden, unless you have Tanai Chazar. But if you put the food not onto the fire, then it's mutter. When's it called I'm not putting the food on the fire? Like nekshav klal ka'oimid al akira. Therefore, it's mutter. Mashen came binyanenu. Mashen came when the kedera is reikonis. The kedera is empty and it's oimid rak listoim eschoim akira shelo yehei kol kacham. That's the answer. The answer, if you're using the metal to be meshamish, listen closely, Rabbi Isai. If you're using the metal, the pot, whatever it is, to service the fire, you have a fire and you don't want the fire to be as hot. So then you put a piece of metal there that the fire shouldn't be as hot. What's the example? Our case. The cholent was burning out and you put a piece of metal there in order to service the fire because the fire was too hot. Now, when I take something out of the fridge and I put it on that, am I putting something onto the fire? Certainly. When you take a piece of metal to put it onto the fire because the fire was too hot, for example, so then that piece of metal is servicing the fire. If it's servicing the fire, then we look at it as one big chefza. There's the fire, there's the metal, it's all one big chefza over here. So when I take something out of the fridge, I'm putting something onto the fire. Then I'm putting something onto the fire. Now we don't care that it's a covered fire, but you're putting something onto the fire. So if you're dealing with the shaila of chazara is allowed onto a covered fire because saif, it's not normal. It's definitely not a normal way to cook. But we want to know a different question. For nesina lechatchila, the question is, are you putting something onto the fire? If you're putting something onto the fire, that's aser. So when is it called I'm putting something onto the fire? So it says the Mishnah Berurah, it depends. If there's a pot there of food and whatever, it does not, the pot of food has nothing to do with the fire. It itself is cooking in the fire. So when I put something on top of the pot of food is not servicing the fire. So then my relationship with the fire is gespalten, is split. When I'm taking a piece of challah, I'm taking a piece of schnitzel, I'm taking it from the fridge and I'm putting it on top of a pot, and the pot has its own purpose, it's its own function. So then the pot is not servicing the fire, right? It's not that like, so mainly when I take a piece of schnitzel and I take it out, so is my schnitzel going on the fire? No, there's no shaykhs to the fire. My schnitzel's going on top of a pot. It's not going on the fire b'chlal. But if you take a piece of metal and you use it to make the fire not so hot, so then the piece of metal is servicing the fire. It becomes one big chefta. That's your oven now. That's your oven. So now that you're never allowed to take a schnitzel and put it onto a fire on Shabbos. Does everyone understand the way I said it? And that's the words in Mishnah Berurah. He says, Mashen came in Yanenu, a rekonis, right? It's only just to be sois in the kira, that it shouldn't be so cham. Nase hakira yedeze keshar kira grufa ketuma. This is one big kira. Sorry, be'emes, mayaim and shamibak. He said, what's the nafkamina the way I said it? I'll end with this. I hope Danny's giving us some leeway over here. We never go over time, but this is very important. Is a wayside. Listen closely. Murdik. The Chazon Ish says that's not pshat in the Pri Megadim. He comes to answer it on his own. I don't know if he wants to say this is the Pri Megadim. The Chazon Ish says, you know what the answer is? The answer is that it's a difference if there's food or not food. That's it. That's the answer. Why? Says the Chazon Ish, if there's food, then you're not getting heated from the fire. You get it heated from the food. That's what the Chazon Ish says. He says, Mashenkin, if there's no food, then it's called you're getting heated from the fire. As if to say metal is just a conduit to allow the heat to go through, okay? But if there's food, then you're getting heated from the fire. But I heed my words, it's two different things. What I just said was a totally different word. What I just said was, the Mishabura said, the Prima Godim said, one is that the piece of metal is servicing the fire. And that this is your fire now. So you cannot take schnitzel out of the fridge and put it onto a fire. I don't care if there's a piece of metal there. You're allowed to do chazara, okay? Because it's a covered fire. But you can't take it straight out and put it on because that becomes your fire. Mashayin Kain, says the Mishnah Berurah, if you have a pot, so the pot is not servicing the fire. The pot is not being mishamish the fire. So therefore, I'm not putting something onto the fire. Very simple. The Chazon Ish says a different shot. The Chazon Ish says, what is making the schnitzel on top hot? Is it the food or is it the fire? Chazon Ish says, if there's a piece of metal in between, then it's the fire. The metal is just a conduit. It's just a chatimtza to get the fire to touch the food. But if there's food in between, then it's the food that's heating it up. That's how the Chazon Ish learns. That's what Chazon Ish learns. And the Mamela, so what's an Nafkamina? Nafkamina is the Kedera Blech. The Kedera Blech was Hamtzah that they came up with a Gevaldik idea. Because how am I going to go and have hot schnitzel on Shabbos? It's if you have a cholent, great, you can put it on top of the cholent. Right? But sometimes you put it on top of the cholent, it slides off. So what do you do, Derech Agav? You take the lid and you flip it upside down. Right? And then it goes. But then sometimes you have this the handle is rubber, and then your cholent tastes so rubbery. So what are you going to do? You want to have hot schnitzel, you want to have a hot challah, what do you do? So they came up with a Gevaldik Amtzah. It's like a double layered blech. It's a piece of metal, and then another piece of metal, and in between they put water. Right? So Erev Shas Gevaldik, right? Mamish Gevaldik. You take this double layered blech, it has water in between. Imagine a pan. It basically looks like a pan. You have a piece of metal here, a piece of metal here, and you have water in between. It's Gevaldik. Now you take it, this double layered blech, you put it on the fire on Erev Shabbos. So now, La Yehudim. Now what happens? I come on Shabbos and I want to take schnitzel. Can I take schnitzel from a fridge and put it straight onto the blech? Chas v'shalom. Shulchan Aruch says you can't do that. But I could put it on top of a pot. So great, this is a pot. Because look, there's water in between. There's water in between. Yeah. So the Chazon Ish, this might be true. This taka might be true. According to the Chazon Ish, this taka might be true. Because you have water in between. So how is the cholent how is your challah getting hot? From the water. There's water in between. So the Chazon Ish told us, if you have food in between, it's not getting heated from the fire. It's getting heated from the food. But if you learn the way that we explained Lefi, the Mishnah Berurah, and the Prima Godim, so then what's the lumdus over here? The lumdus is this water, they didn't have a spout that you could take out the water. If they did, we could talk. Okay? But Elamai, why did they put this piece of metal down? They put this piece of metal to service the fire, to enable me to have hot food, right? But not to have too hot or to enable me to get. So this becomes a part of the kira. If it becomes a part of the kira, so then according to Mishnah Berurah, it's no good. I'll repeat this in the beginning tomorrow for the first minute, but I hope it was clear. Call to Rabbi. Okay.
So Aaron will be okay.